what I'm going to do is I'm just going to introduce you to what I'm going to share today while other people are jumping on. And in about 2 or 3 minutes, we'll dive really, really deep into this particular training. So what I want to share actually here is I want to share much of the result of my lifetime work. And, this has been something that I've been focused on for a very long time. Just to give you a little bit of background, I've been studying psychology since I was 7 years old. I remember being in the library and getting quite bored with, a lot of the kids' books and migrated over to the psychology section. So I started reading all these psychology books at a very, very young age, and I became very intrigued and very interested in how we function and how we work. My life, and I'll give you a little bit more elaboration to this further into this particular webinar, but my life basically was very surrounded by a lack of money growing up. And, I saw a lot of other kids in my neighborhood who seemed to be able to have money to do things, and I never had any money at all. So I became quite resourceful. But the thing that I discovered is I just knew that something in my actual mindset was stopping me from really being able to have the sort of life that I ultimately really wanted. So I ended up going down this path till eventually I came into life coaching, and then also I got into neuro-linguistic programming. I've since studied many, many different modalities. And for quite a number of years, we've been teaching quite a hybrid of many different technologies and bringing them all together in the self-development space. And I've equally been personally coaching many, many people over many, many years. And I think currently I'm at about 31,000 hours of coaching. And so I've got a huge amount of experience in the coaching space. And so what we ended up doing was building a program that essentially taught people how to be coaches, how to be change makers, and also how to change their own life. So I want to introduce you to that today. So I'm going to jump into the actual webinar now. And before we go on, have you guys got any questions at all before we jump into the webinar? So maybe firstly, just, let us know where you're actually from at the moment, and are you in lockdown or not? Because of course, there's all sorts of things going on around the world that we're all very, very aware of. So if you could just perhaps pop that in the chat section, and so you can see, okay, Melbourne, day 200 of lockdown for us. Wow. Yeah, Melbourne's really, really copped it, or Victoria's really copped it, haven't they? You guys have been locked down an enormous amount of times. I think it's 6 lockdowns or something like that, which is absolutely incredible. One thing that, on a positive note, one thing that we've certainly found is lockdown has created opportunities that weren't really there before. And we've found that a lot of people that have been working with us over the years have been very thankful that they've got the time to really do things, to, spend time on themselves and develop themselves through this particular time. So, it's been a great opportunity for some, but of course, a massive inconvenience too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive deep into this particular training. The training is essentially themed how to live a life beyond limits. That's what I want to cover off today. And so let's start the webinar. So it's basically very much about how do you do that? How do you actually get beyond your limitations? So this training is basically going to start with a number of questions just to make certain that this is the training that is going to be appropriate for you. So if you answer yes to one of these 8 questions, you're in the right place. So The question is, do you want a better life? If your life is exactly as you want it and no change is required, then it's probably not for you. But if you want a better life, it definitely is. Do you want to improve your health, your wealth, or relationships? In our trainings, typically, what we like to do is get people to focus on what they want to improve, be it their health, their wealth, or relationships. Success at the end of the day is really about focus. If you can really focus in and hone in on one particular area and absolutely build momentum in that area, you can achieve absolutely anything. So the other question is, do you want an end to stress, anxiety, or frustrations? Does something in your life have to change for the better? And again, it's really good to know what that is so you can then focus in on that and change it. The next, are you curious about neuro-linguistic programming and how it can change your life? And finally, do you feel called to serve as a life coach or even a change maker for that matter? Or do you want to be a leader or an agent for change? So they're the sorts of questions to give you a sense of if this particular webinar is right for you. And if you answer yes to one of those 8 questions, you're in the right place, most definitely. So 8 reasons to stay to the end, plus one more. And here it is. And by staying to the end of this webinar, I'm going to give you a $14,457 gift. So that might sound like an extraordinary amount of money to give away, but I'm going to show you how we actually do that at the very, very end. So that is essentially the gift. And so should you stay to the end of the webinar, that is your gift. So to share everything and get to your gift, we're going to skip chat, if that's okay. I've got a huge amount of content to get through. So for that particular reason, I just want to deliver content to you. So just a little bit about me, if you don't know about me. I studied coaching in 2002. Then I went on to learn neuro-linguistic programming, EFT, metaphysics, clean language, hypnosis, and it just goes on and on and on. I went to learn a lot of things. And then in 2004, I incorporated Life Beyond Limits. And I've been teaching coaches and NLP since 2006. And I've completed 31,000 plus hours of transformational work. But what led me to coaching and NLP? Simply, to be completely honest with you, I was shy, I was anxious, and I was financially frustrated. But there was good reason why that these were the case for me. So I believe that if you change your past, you can improve your future. So a sense of my past was my parents were raised in a depression. It was a tough time. They were in queues for food. And, my mother and father had 2 children, which were my 2 older siblings, at the time. And of course, they lived through World War II, which was a horrific time. I can't even imagine what life would have been like living through a war and having to, avoid, the bombing raids and all of those sorts of things. So wealth for them was not the aim, really survival was. Happiness wasn't even the aim for them. Survival was. That's what everything counted on their lives, of course. Now, I was born in 1961. It was certainly a more prosperous time than my parents knew. However, they had a huge poverty mindset through the Depression and the war. And my brother, who is actually 18 years older than me, he still has quite a poverty mindset that exists with him, even though he's quite a prosperous guy. I too had a poverty mindset. Now that poverty mindset, basically drove me. And I lived in the poorest neighborhood of my state. And, we fought a new war ourselves. It was very much a cultural war, a racist type war, where, people were fighting on the streets where I lived. And wealth was, again, not the aim. Survival was. But tough was the new currency. I learned to fight before I learned to speak. And it was a horrible existence. I didn't like it at all. I never liked fighting at all. So growing up, my struggle was that I wanted to become a millionaire. So I worked really, really hard. It was actually just simply working against my poverty system. And so it didn't work. So I then went from focusing on working to studying. So I studied harder, but my life remained absolutely the same until I got to another critical point in my life where money was really, really low. And I was actually down to my last $27. And it was at a time in my life where I was just married. We were expecting our first child, and it was torturous to, as a guy, to think that you're not providing for your family. And it was horrible. And something really had to change. So I finally entered into the realm of neuro-linguistic programming, and I discovered so much about myself that needed to change. And I focused very much on untraining my brain of all of those programs that were perpetuating, this horrible circumstance financially. And, so I believe that a poor past can, in fact, equal a rich future as long as you do the work to shift those past programs. So in essence, what I then did is finally I became a multimillionaire. I now live on the Sapphire Coast of New South Wales. My life is so different to what it used to be, but it is a difference from a changing of my mindset, by changing my belief system, my patterns, my neurology, who I thought I was, my actual identity. It made a big, big difference. And I remember even, when I announced to everyone that I was leaving Melbourne and I was going to live on the Sapphire Coast, everyone, well, nearly everyone, said that that's it. You're going to go broke. Everything's, it can't work for you being in a regional center and making your business work and all of that. Well, the truth is, it's actually never been better. And, the thing that I'm very, very aware of now is don't listen to people who have limited beliefs. Listen to those people who are encouraging, inspiring, and really believe the impossibility. So that's very much an NLP type mindset. And I really want to show you how to live a life of freedom and, in summary, a life beyond your actual limitations. So one thing I discovered, I used to think the key was to join a mastermind, get with a group of people who are really, who know how to succeed or are all, aspiring to succeed. But I realized that the people who are very successful in every mastermind actually had something very unique about them. Now, not everyone succeeds in a mastermind. And the reason is I found that the real key is actually to be able to master your mind, to be able to get into the neurology and get to the very core of some of the elements that actually make up you and change them and really learn how to begin to master that. And so from that perspective, I started to discover a lot about the brain, started doing huge research about the brain, and focused very much on learning on how to untrain it. And I realized that most of our success is not actually training our brain, but more untraining our brain of the program's limitations. And, it's not what we think, it's more so how we think that makes a big, big difference. So the 7 neural filters that hold the key to unlock your inner genius and give you the freedom that is there for you, the truth is most people are totally unconscious of actually what's stopping them. So the first thing that we have to do is become quite conscious of what is actually slowing us down, stopping us, or hindering us in some particular way. So this is a particular model. Here is Homer Simpson. And this is a particular model of how we like to simplify so that we can clarify and focus in specific areas and be able to shift those specific areas. So, for example, this is how our brain works. We get an event. In other words, we experience an event. Now, the truth is, there has been a huge amount of research in this space. We see 2 million bits of information every second, and we delete, distort, and generalize that information down to about 134 bits. So that's 2 million bits down to about 134 bits. So that means there's a whole bunch of stuff we're not seeing. There's a whole bunch of stuff we're not aware of because we just keep deleting it. The reason we delete it is based on these filters. So the first filter is a decision filter. So we often make decisions about certain things. And it's almost like, if you think about it, it's almost like racism in so many different spaces and places where we'll say, I'll never be that, I'll never do that, I'll never be like him, I'll never be like her. And they are judgments, and those decisions filters ensure that we'll never even get curious or investigate being like others or modeling others. The other thing is our memories filter. Our memories filter basically determines our future, because everything we have experienced to date, we can typically experience again. Everything we have learned to date, we can do again. But everything we have not yet learned or everything we have not yet experienced is very difficult for us to do. And so therefore we have no memory for it. And if we have no memory for it, we cannot create it. So what we have to begin to do is start to shift our beliefs. And our beliefs largely determine what we can and what we can't experience based on essentially an idea that you can be, for example, a billionaire. Like if you thought of being a billionaire, there would be a part of you that might be saying in your head, oh, rubbish, I'll never be a billionaire, come on. Or you might be saying, you might have a belief that all billionaires are greedy. So therefore, with that as a belief system, there's no way on earth you're ever going to do or learn what you need to learn or do in order to become a billionaire. It's as simple as that. And so then there is language. So for, in essence, if I say, saya mau nasi goreng, if you don't know Indonesian, you don't know that I want fried rice. So therefore, you can't serve me in that way because you don't understand the language. And so when we want to expand our world and grow our world in a particular area, you have to begin to elaborate your language. You have to expand on your language so that you can experience other things. And I'll go deeper into these in a moment. The other is values. Values is a hierarchy. It's essentially you have a number one value, number two, and so forth. Your number 1, 2, and 3 values, your top 3 values, are the most influential words in your meta programs. So meta programs are essentially the things that are non-content filters. So in other words, they form your identity. Do you seek out pleasure or do you avoid pain? 2 very different meta programs and 2 very different lives as a result of those 2 meta programs. So meta programs are some of the non-content filters, such as some people are big picture, some people are detail, and so forth. And then finally, we have the attitudes filter. The attitudes filter determines how you show up every day, how you get out of bed, how you do your work, how you do your relationships, how you do your health. So all of these filters, essentially, they govern what that event is. These filters are the reasons that we delete, distort, and generalize 2 million bits down to 134. Because what happens is we get an internal representation of that event. So we make a judgment. What is that event? We say it is this or that. And then as a result of making a judgment of that event, we then determine how we're going to feel, our internal state. And our internal state turns into a physiology, a slumping of shoulders or a raising of shoulders, a running or a stalling or fawning or a freezing type mechanism. And our physiology will represent or be a byproduct of our representation. And then what happens, of course, there's a behavior from that. So when I first saw this model, learning in NLP, and this was the very beginning of my NLP training, I got really excited. I started to realize that if I could focus on these filters very specifically, that bit by bit, I could change my life. And that's exactly what happened. So going a little bit further, your decisions filter, most people think too much and decide too little. They're mostly controlled by old unconscious decisions. So our old unconscious decisions keep replicating our life over and over again. There's nothing more than our ego needs than status quo. Even though it wants to grow the status quo, it's actually very reluctant to. And so the first key is make a decision to be a success, even if you've never been in that space before, and find out what's stopping you and do all you can to alter your neural programs to succeed. That's the very first key. So I want to share this with you. This is Christina Morrison. And Christina Morrison used to be an actor on Baywatch. And she came to me and she wanted to learn how to be a coach. But she believed that she couldn't really get there. She wasn't, coach material. And she needed to practice and practice and practice and practice and practice and study and study and study. And I said, yeah, look, all of that's good. But we got to the end of our NLP practitioner program. And I said to her, you can coach. You can actually go out with all I've taught you. You can coach. The only thing missing is a little bit of courage. You just need to be courageous, put yourself out there and coach. And so ever since that, she gave me this testimony. She said, Rich Noble, you rock. Since working with you, I've got coaching clients coming out of my ears. The reason for that is she made a new decision. That was the critical point. That's what changed her outcome. She made a new decision to succeed as a coach. And sometimes it can be as simple as that. Now, our memories filter, our past wasn't meant to hurt us or wound us. It's there to strengthen and teach us. But while we believe our past is a problem, it is. While we believe our past is hurting us, it does. And what we need to do is rise above our past and actually learn from it. There's a cool technique we teach in our NLP program called timeline. It is by far the most powerful tool in changing people's past and untraining their brain of all of those hurts and harms and terrible things that happened and even trauma. So it's hugely powerful for changing traumatic disorders. So the second key is learn from your past and heal it, or it will repeat itself until you do. And I truly believe that's how life works. You keep getting lessons until you learn from them. Then those lessons, in other words, problems, disappear because you don't need them anymore. So our beliefs filter, which I think is hugely influential in what we will or what we won't do, because that's what beliefs essentially are. They're kind of like, at the end of the day, they're like an on button to experience or an off button to experience. In other words, if you don't believe you can ever be a successful coach, you won't. You won't do what you have to do in order to be a successful coach. So the first thing that has to happen is you've got to make a decision about it. Or if you want to be a successful business person, or you want success in your relationships, you have to believe it's possible. Belief opens the door. And once the door is open, sure, it might be a new experience, new for you, but you go through that door And with a bit of courage, you start to learn from the experience. So the third key is become conscious of the beliefs that have been stopping you and actually change them. So this is a testimonial I had from a lady who did our income incubator program. And she said, I believed no one would listen to me, but I was wrong. I joined Income Incubator to build my first online course. In just a few weeks, I got 1,902 people enrolled in my course. I was gobsmacked that a grandmother could succeed online. Now, the reason that she didn't believe that anyone would listen to her is because of her belief system. That was her belief system. So in the program, of course, what I did is I helped her to shift her beliefs around that. And once she did that, then she just got on with learning what to do. And of course, that's how she got her 1,902 students enrolled in her actual course. She's now got thousands and thousands. I think last conversation, she said she had over 6,000 people in her program. So our beliefs are really the blocks or the barriers to our experience. So the fourth filter, the language filter, the truth is most of your language was learned from 0 to 7 years. So 0 to 7 is what we call the imprint period. And the imprint period is when you're unconscious, but you haven't yet formed a conscious brain. And so in other words, whatever your mother, your father, and others tell you is life, it is life for you, because you don't hold information out. You're just a sponge and you take things in because you're learning so fast. You're building millions and millions of neurons almost on a monthly basis. So the thing here to understand is that negative language creates negative states. In other words, emotional states. And negative states attract negative events because that equally works with our belief filter. That is that if you believe something is true, you're going to make it true. You're going to ensure that you are right. I mean, who here really likes being wrong? That's right. We all like being right. So the fourth key is master the language of success. It's a great thing to do. Just stop feeding negativity. Stop being pessimistical, cynical, and all of those things. Start feeding positivity within you, and more so productivity within you. So our values filter. Now, our values filter, they're an unconscious rudder that essentially steers your ship to an island called your life. In other words, your values are the rudder of your ship. They determine what you sought for, what you look for, what you focus on, what you do the most. So there will be 3 values at least within your neurology that's governing most of your behaviors. And the truth is, most people don't even know what they actually are, their actual values. So the real key is elicit your values, find out what they are. And then once you've worked out what they are, determine if they are the right values for you or change them so that you can actually change your direction. And one thing in coaching, when I'm working with clients in coaching, I find that when we start doing some values work, and values work can be quite deep level work, you can almost completely turn a life around just by shifting values. It's a very, very powerful filter to be focusing on. Now, this is a gentleman called Vladimir Platill. Now, I recall working with him, and he said that Rick is a genius in the mind space. I don't know whether I'm actually a genius, but I think I'm pretty good in this space. But he said he helped me to double my income. Now, that's a pretty profound shift. But the reason that his life shifted so big and so quantum was he changed his values. that made a significant difference to him in his career, and he doubled his income. He was in a sales environment. He had no cap on his earning potential, but his values just weren't steering him in the right direction to take opportunity with both hands in the area that he was in. So your meta programs filter. So your meta programs determines your personality, but in truth, most people don't know what their meta programs are, and so who they really are. Therefore, they will never know what they can truly achieve. So the thing is that if you don't know what your meta programs are, you don't really know yourself. In other words, when people call you names or give you labels, for most of us who don't fully know who we are, we sometimes accept those labels, thinking that they're right and we're wrong, or they're older, or they're more wiser than we are, or more experienced, and or our self-esteem is quite low. And so we will listen to other people's criticism, and as a result of that, we won't repel the criticism, we'll accept it. So one major key in your life is get to know who you are, really know who you are. This is one particular gentleman that I did quite a bit of work with. He said, I wasn't always a high flyer. I was on the same income for a decade. And so he was stuck in a loop, just a perpetual loop. And his neurology just kept creating the same income every single year after year after year, for a whole decade. And then he said, Rick found my limits and removed them. In no time, I increased my income by over 100,000. I was finally flying high, living the life I once dreamed of. And Jürgen now is in Switzerland. He used to be in Australia when I was working with him, and I have worked with him while he's been in Switzerland as well. But I was curious why he kept coming back into the program. And the reason was that every time he did, what would happen is his income would rise every time he did. So he's now living an incredible life now in Switzerland. So he mastered his mind. That's what made the big difference in his life. So finally, the attitudes filter. According to researchers at the Duke University, habits make up 40% of our behaviors. That is, 40% of what we do is just a repetition. I would argue it's higher than that. But a new attitude can change any habit. So basically, the seventh key is change your attitude to never quit, and you'll ultimately succeed. Because if you choose never, ever, 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 ever to quit, you will keep working different ways, learning different things, working with different people, until finally it all comes together for you and you will succeed. Now, that's my attitude. I believe that I have succeeded just through a number of things, but this particular thing had a big influence on me. I never quit. I just kept going until I got where I wanted to get to. Like back in 2008, I started learning NLP in 2004. And in 2008, I had the life that I wanted. And I've been enjoying that life ever since. So it took me a little while to really ultimately get the life that I'd wanted. But, I was certainly much happier once I got rid of those poverty type of thinkings that were ruling my brain on a regular basis, the habits, essentially. So if you want to master your life, you must, of course, first begin to master your mind, really get inside your brain, really understand how to actually do that. Now, the truth is that it's not easy to really get there. What you have to do is you have to have some very, very specific tools in order to get you there. So how we help to improve people's self-esteem and deliver of life purpose, I'll show you that but not all of our students enroll because they want to be an accredited coach. So, just to give you a bit of a sense, about 30% of the people who join us in our program typically are there for themselves. They don't want to be a coach. However, our program delivers a coaching accreditation. Truth is, some just want a new or a better life, and that's perfectly okay. So this is how we actually help them. Now, if you haven't created your ideal life, it's unlikely, or it's likely you don't know how. It can be, for example, a little bit daunting. So I'm going to show you the fast and a proven formula to actually get there. And this is about creating a trail, a focus, a pathway. So we packaged up, we thought about this, and we thought, okay, how do we create a program that is not only going to help people to change their lives, not only going to give an accreditation to coaches so that they can turn this work into a commercial enterprise, but how can we make sure that they actually succeed? So this is how we did it. We created a program that we're calling the Transformational Bonanza. And we've been running this program right through COVID. So it's been a very successful program. We've got lots and lots of graduates now who've come through this particular program. And this is how we did it. What we did is, for many, many years, we were teaching our life coach and NLP practitioner certificate. And then the body that governs the accreditation, the NLPAA, they decided during COVID that they gave all us trainers permission to be able to teach those courses via Zoom. Now, frankly, back in the days when I used to coach in rooms and train in rooms, I would have said that training in a room was superior to anything, until I started teaching people on Zoom. And what we've been doing is 2 hours every week, we've been teaching people on Zoom. And it is by far, now that I've done it and experienced it, I can now see my limitations, that it's much better and superior. Because in our rooms, we used to train over 8 days, 8 consecutive days from 9 o'clock to 6:30 p.m. And it was a lot of information to take in. But the NLPAA asked us to double that time if they were going to accredit us doing it on Zoom. So we thought, wow, that would be almost like 16 days of training. Now, what we did instead was we did 2 hours a week for about 35 weeks. And what we found, and what I mean by that, it's 30 weeks actually, but we usually give about 5 extra weeks as a bonus. And what we found is we're producing the best students we have ever seen come out of our classes, because there's so much more content. We can dive a lot deeper, and they've got a whole week to process what they learned over those 2 hours in that particular course. But we didn't stop there. What we also did is we said, right, how can we make sure that those who want to be coaches actually have the tools and the knowledge to be able to position themselves, market themselves, price themselves, and become a success commercially? So we also created a program called Marketing Incubator to help people to market themselves. And the two programs together has been a beautiful combination. But we thought, why stop there? We added one extra program, and this was a financial game changer. We added our Millionaire Master Academy. It's a program that teaches people how to think like multimillionaires. What are the strategies that you use? What sort of insights do you have to get, and so forth, in order to be highly successful. And so what we did is we put all of these together. So just to give you a sense of this particular program, this is what's actually inside. So it's foundational and advanced, because it spans over a good chunk of time, we've been able to take a program which was foundational and turn it into an advanced program as well of life coaching and NLP skills training. So that's the very basis of it in a very general term. But more specifically, you learn how to remove negative emotions from influencing you. You also learn how to change your past for good. So in other words, how you recall your past, all your pains of the past and traumas of the past, how to turn them into lessons, how to turn them into tools for great change. And then how to manage and master your emotions. How to actually really, truly master your emotions, because your emotions determine how you think. How you think, yes, determines how you feel as well, but you can actually change your thinking more powerfully through changing your emotions than you can just trying to change your thoughts. And learning how to change your limiting beliefs, eliciting them, finding out exactly what's getting in your way, and then learn how to actually turn them around and change them totally. And also how to become an influencer for good in the world, to be able to have a great impact so that you can help others. One of the great motivations for me is I really want to make a change for my children. I really want to create a world that is a kinder world, that respects one another, that really helps one another and becomes, instead of competitive, becomes compassionate and becomes complementary and, works together, coordinates one another. And you're also going to learn in this program the world's most powerful coaching systems, the systems that actually get into people's neurology and change inside at a very deep level, rather than changing from the bottom down, changing from the top down. Big, big difference. And discover the power of hypnosis to help you and your clients. Plus, there's also to learn how to easily attract clients as a coach or a change maker. You'll also learn how to set up your coaching systems and administration. You'll also learn how to discover how to scale up your business, how to create landing pages and websites to be able to, build your business and so forth. And to learn specific mindset hacks that actually amplify your income, and how to identify your limits and blast through them. And that's a real key piece. Most people don't know what's stopping them. One of the key elements within our program is teaching people how to find, easily following proven systems that help people to identify what are the things that are really stopping them, hindering them, holding them back, creating frustrations in their lives, creating pain in their lives, not helping their relationships or their health or their wealth or any particular area. And then once you identify them, then giving you all the tools to begin to shift and change and remove them. So in this program, there's much, much more in here than we have time for to be able to show you. But this just gives you a sense of what's in the program. If you just think about it, 30 plus weeks of training, 2 hours a week, there is a huge amount of content in this program. Now, Platill said, my mind was being blown away every hour of the course. It's truly amazing. And it really, really is. It's an incredible course. So Platill really discovered the power of beliefs, his beliefs, and learning how to shift and change. So this is what the training is. Now, you're going to learn how your brain works, logical levels therapy, 7 filters of the unconscious, submodalities, which is brain untraining, and you're going to learn deep level rapport, how to create deep level rapport. I haven't even discussed this, but what this program actually has is it teaches you how to become a better communicator, not only within yourself, changing your negative self-talk, but also how to be a better communicator in the world so that you can help people achieve. It also teaches you how to improve learning, how you can learn so deeply. And you also learn how to see more than most with a thing called sensory acuity. You'll discover eye patterns, how people think, representational systems, how people communicate. And again, this is a communication tool, improving how you actually communicate with the world. You're going to learn about beliefs and how to change them. You're going to learn timeline, removing the past, changing the past. You'll also learn about hypnosis and how to use it, and a hierarchy of ideas. Again, a communication system. Leaders talk a certain way, minions talk another way. So it's the difference between how they actually speak can make a big, big difference to people's lives in a huge and profound and massive way. So anchoring, it'll help you to shift your emotional state as quickly as clicking your fingers. It really, really does. And also you'll learn some strategies for success, how you actually shift strategies and create strategies to ensure that should you follow those particular strategies, you will ultimately achieve what you want in the world. So, there's 30 plus trainings. This is only some of them. As I said, there are some bonuses, which I'm not going to tell you about now, but I'll tell you in the program, of course. But the bonuses are extra and above these particular programs. Now, it's all accredited through the NLPAA. In other words, you are nationally accredited and internationally recognized with this particular accreditation. And more people are looking for accredited coaches now. Now, the total value of this is $3,960 for this whole program. But I'm going to, of course, reduce it dramatically. But before I do that, I want to tell you just a little bit more about what you get. You get 3 certificates. These certificates are essentially the NLP practitioner certificate, the life coaching certificate, and the Ericksonian hypnotherapy certificate. So there's 3 certificates that you get at the very end of this program. And by the way, these are not digital certificates that you get emailed to you. These are actually beautiful certificates that are mailed to you when you graduate at the end of the program. Michael Maher, he said, Life Beyond Limits, Life Coach and NLP program is the best we've seen in getting people into the right mindset to achieve amazing results. And it is an incredible life-shifting program. What we also do is we give you full support. So you get 6 by 30-minute Zoom sessions of support to guide you through the steps. You use them whenever you like, through the program or after the program. And these are with me personally, so I can help you and guide you. My investment is to make sure that you get everything you need in this program to become a great agent for change. That's what I'm about. I really care about making a difference in this world. Plus, you get 12 months of email support as well, so that you can just send endless emails and they'll all get answered and within 24 hours, so that you've got full support in between and during the program. The total value of that is $2,500. So here's what you get. You get the life coach, practitioner training, and you get the Zoom sessions with me personally. You get the 12 months of email access as well. So that's a total value of $6,460. Now, Mandy, who was a wonderful student, delightful student to teach, she said, Rick is an excellent trainer, full of inspiration, expertise, and always delivers beyond the promises he makes. This course helped me to grow into a successful full-time coach and trainer. And she's an incredible trainer. She's created so many programs over the years, and she's very, very well respected. And she's certainly living her ideal life. She now lives in Queensland, and she's loving life up there. So now I'm also giving you awesome bonuses if you've already made up your mind, here, of course, are the bonuses. You know, imagine having the best marketing minds at your fingertips. That's our marketing incubator. So that's the first bonus that we've put in the Transformational Bonanza. And this really helps you to grow your business. Now, you can use this in your general business. You can use this in life coaching. It's very much geared towards consulting and coaching, this particular program. However, you can use it in so many different areas as well, but it's valued at $4,997. Equally, install a millionaire mindset. It's not what you think, it's how you think that makes all the difference. And that, of course, is our Millionaire Master Academy to develop your millionaire mindset and deliver the strategies of millionaires, how they actually have made oodles and oodles of income. Now, you often hear people say that they earn $1,500 an hour or $2,000 an hour. And for some people, it really boggles their mind. How do people do that? Well, it's about the strategies and structures that make that possible. Now, your thing might not be about making more money. And if that's okay. If you don't want to make more money, that is okay. Though, then give this program to someone who really, really wants to increase their income. That's valued at $4,997. This program has 52 training videos within it. You know, they go for about 20 minutes to about 40 minutes, but there's heaps and heaps and heaps of content. And you actually hear from many millionaires as to how they made their first million, not their second or third or fourth, but their first. And that's the most critical million. Now, the other thing that we do with all our trainings is you can revise the training anytime you like. So if you want to revise it a year from now, 10 years from now, you still have access to it. So it's never taken down. You will be able to revise and review the training anytime you like for life. So here's what you get. You get the 30 webinars. Now, the webinars, by the way, are the life coach training, the life coach and NLP practitioner training. And essentially, those webinars are just like this. They're on Zoom, but we have a whole bunch of lovely faces, you know, in the training, and we all do it together, and it's live. And then you get the Zoom sessions with me. You get the 12 months unlimited email access as well. You get the marketing incubator, get the Millionaire Master Academy, and the total value is $16,454 for the whole thing. And I did say we wanted to create a program that absolutely works. And so we put everything in this that we really believe will make a huge difference to people's outcomes, their lives, because we really want you to succeed. Because when you succeed, when we teach you how to succeed, then you're going to help other people succeed. And that has that beautiful ripple effect. And it truly is the gift that just keeps giving again and again and again and again for the rest of your life. So the question is, can you do this another way? Well, you could do a marketing course, a life coaching course, a copywriting course, an NLP practitioner course, get a millionaire mentor and probably pay 7 times more than what you'll pay here. In other words, I remember my very first mentor, I paid him around 15,000 US to mentor me, which was almost as much as this whole program. And you get what I learned from him in Millionaire Master Academy. The truth is that there is no comparison. There really, really isn't. And I'm going to drop the price because I'm going to make your day. This is how I'm going to make your day, with an amazing offer, because we want your success story. And I'm going to make this so attractive that you'll have to say yes. In fact, you'd be crazy not to, because after midnight tonight, it reverts to full price without bonuses. So I'm going to give you this entire program, $16,454 of value. And this is how I give you your $14,000+ gift. I'm going to make it just $19.97. That's for the whole thing, just $19.97. because we want to help leaders lead an evolution. I don't know about you, but when you look at the world today, it really does need more and more inspiring leaders. I mean, where are the Gandhis? Where are the Nelson Mandelas? Where are the Mother Teresas? Where are these people right now when we need them most? So you can do this whole thing and create change in your life or other people's lives for only $19.97, or just 12 monthly payments of $197. It's that simple. And so that is $14,457 off. We wanted to make this absolute nuts. We really wanted to make this so crazy that you go, oh yeah, how do I sign up? So this is essentially one extra element that I want to put to this. We believe in this so much that we've created a 30-day, no questions asked, success or your money back guarantee. So if you choose, for whatever reason, that you don't want it, then you just email us, let us know, and we'll just simply refund you, and you actually get to keep the bonuses. We are taking all the risk on this, but you'd be crazy to give it back because this stuff is life-changing. So this is all you have to do. The URL is lifebeyondlimits.com.au/transform. It's as simple as that. And there you will see the page that you can't see other than people here today. And all you have to do is, if you want to pay $197 per month for 12 months, you just click there. If you want the bigger discount, you just click on the Are You Ready to Live a Life of Freedom button. And then it takes you to the page where you get everything. Now, the live training, it starts on the 5th of October, 2021 at 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. It runs for 30 weeks, but do allow for about an extra 5 weeks after the 30 weeks. I love teaching this program, and I put a challenge to my students in my training. When we start getting close to the end, I usually say, hey, if there's something else you want me to teach you, in this area, let me know, and I may put it in as a bonus. And, with all our students who love lapping this information up and learning from it, they gladly say, yeah, could you teach us that? Could you teach us this? And that's how we typically give you the extra bonuses on the bonuses. So it's all the live training is actually recorded, and you get lifetime access, which means if you miss any one evening of training, then you can go to the live recording of it, and you can watch the whole thing. And so you never miss a thing. And it'll be there for lifetime access. Plus, of course, the same applies to Marketing Incubator and Millionaire Master Academy, lifetime access to these two programs as well. So the 1997 ends at midnight, and that is the URL that you need to go to now and get this program, should this make sense to you. And then from there, the question that I want to answer is, why does this end at midnight? Well, the truth is this: because decisive action takers are the easiest people to teach. One thing that you want to learn or want to train yourself to do is learn to take action. Learn to take action quickly without fear, or in fact, make friends with fear. And then keep moving through your fears until you find that you start building such a courage muscle that you can do anything. And that's a real key to success. Be able to make friends with fear and keep moving through fear, and you'll find that you get more and more and more courageous. And that's something that makes such a significant difference to your life. So we want to train you from the outset to be an action taker, to do things, to get things done for yourself and others, so that you get out of your own way. So that's essentially why we are closing this off at midnight. So decision makers get more out of life, essentially. So this is, when you click on that link, you'll end up here. And so you just click on the buy now button. Oh, just a little tip that if you just happen to get a bit click happy and you put more than one item in your cart, just go up to our little icon, search icon, and just put the word cart in there. And then just up will come the cart, click on the cart, and then take out the extra clicks that you've put in, the extra products that you've put in, so that it comes back down to the 1997 or the 197, depending on which option that you choose. So just a little tip for you. So if you have any questions, you can direct them to me. I know I haven't allowed for the chat function today because we had a lot to get through. But what you can do is you can email me here. It's rick.schnabel@lifebeyondlimits.com.au. I'll also email you and I'll send you this information. Plus, I'll send you the link to the Transform page. And so from there, I absolutely hope that you'll take the opportunity to jump into this program. And we're going to be doing a lot of work together. And my commitment to you is that I'm going to do everything I possibly can in my power, within my skills, within all the knowledge that I have of transformation, to give you an absolute amazing life, to give you a life beyond limits. All you have to do is show up. It's as simple as that. So that's the webinar. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I look forward to seeing you in the program. Please take advantage of this. Please take the opportunity to do for you the best you possibly can. And, you know, from this perspective, one thing to begin to think about is, if you keep doing the same thing every single day and you don't put new information in your brain, if you don't change those filters and how you source that information, then your life is likely to be exactly what it has been. But typically, we go in 7-year patterns. So your last 7 years is likely to be a fairly bit similar to the next 7 years, and so forth. So what I highly recommend you do is do something different. You know, if you want a different life, do something different. Your ego will hold you back, bring up fear, create excuses, but get beyond your ego. So my name is Rick Schnabel. Thank you so much for joining us today in this webinar, and I hope to see you very, very soon in the program. Look forward to training you and showing you how to live a life beyond limits. Bye for now.